Hi guys and welcome to a deck tech video with Hire, who's been brewing a mid-range Kinnan deck. What is this deck actually trying to do, my friend?
Man, this deck is trying to do it all.
Everything.
Everything. Basically, control, stacks, all of it. Well, I mean, honestly, you're really trying to control the game in a mid-range type of way, right? So we have a lot of draw, but we also have a lot of ramp. And in Kinnan, ramp really just means activations. Really looking at that second ability where we're trying to look at the top 5 cards of our library and put a creature onto the battlefield that's not a human. And that usually just generates, like, profits us pretty decently.
And you've been brewing a lot of different variations of deck. Like you brew some Kenrith decks, you've been brewing some Kodama decks and some other things. How did you stumble upon Kinnan here?
Yeah, so one of the things that really impressed me about Kinnan was the fact that you can really double the mana that you're making. So, turn 1 land, Bird of Paradise turns into turn 2 land, cast Kinnan, tap Bird of Paradise, play 2 more Dorks, right? And then after that, your turn 3 is an activation. And in Kinnan, that speed is really crucial because not only do you have the mana to now cast almost any spell in your deck, but you also have the ability to now respond to people's threats with an activation. And in this build, an activation can be really scary.
Yeah, you're playing some actually stompy things. I mean, you have a Nessa Hall, Consecrated Sphinx.
Yeah, the big stompy boys. Yeah, we have so many great things. Like we have Consecrated Sphinx. Yeah, we have Wandering Archaic. We have Thrasios. Like all of these cards are just so strong. Phyrexian Metamorph is so flexible in this deck because sometimes you want another creature. Sometimes you want someone's dockside. Most of the time you want someone's dockside. I think that's any deck. But in this deck, having that is really important. Luan Cephalid Empress. Oh my gosh, what a house of a card that is. When you're playing this deck, you really want to be reactive, right? So like Manglehorn is a great example of this. Wandering Archaic, another good example. So if you are able to activate Kinnan in response to a lot of things, you just profit. And it doesn't punish you that much if you activate Kinnan on your turn. So having Luan Cephalid Empress come out on your turn isn't that bad. Same thing goes with Manglehorn or Wandering Archaic. Having those cards out, really good. But it also pushes the mid-range plan, right? It has that, I'm going to keep controlling the board. I'm going to keep stopping you from doing your things. And I'm just going to have this giant board that increases over time.
I mean, you don't even always need to finish with a combo weight. I mean, you could just accumulate value and big stompy guys and start using smashdown powers.
Yes, smashdown powers unite. Exactly.
And I mean, one of the stompier things you can pull out, which is actually a really good stacks piece, is the Void Winnower. You can't even.
Yeah.
It's an 11/9.
Yes, Void Winnower is ridiculous. Void Winnower as
like all combos are on CMC2 almost. Underworld Breach, Fastest, Tainted Pack.
I've had situations where I've had to activate Kinnan in response to somebody casting an Underworld Breach, and then I'd hit Void Winnower, and they're just like, oh no, I can't cast LED.
Yeah.
Like or like they'll crack LED. Yeah, I crack LED. Okay, great. Cast Savines. Okay, response. Activate Kinnan. And that's a Void Winnower. You can't do anything anymore. Sorry, bud. Like, if you're in a situation where someone's trying to win, there's not much they can do because you have only so many odd spells in your deck. And so like your Gilded Drake doesn't work, your Thassa's Oracle doesn't work, your Tainted Pack doesn't work. Like so many things don't work anymore.
And as I believe it, you were winning with Basalt Monolith being a 1-card combo with your Kinnan.
Yeah, Basalt Monolith is definitely a good card in Kinnan. There's no reason to not run it.
Yeah.
I don't focus so hard on Basalt Monolith because having infinite colorless mana isn't like the end all be all. It just is a byproduct. Like, who doesn't want to have a lot of colorless mana? It seems good.
Yeah, you can do cool things with that.
There's a lot, like I use Mirage Mirror a lot. That's the other part of this combo.
Yeah, because you can't win from infinite colorless mana with Kinnan, but with Thrasios you can.
With Thrasios I can. So I just use Mirage Mirror a lot. That card is like really flexible. Right now, there's a lot of things that are in the meta that are on the battlefield that I'm just like, I want a copy of that. That sounds good. I want a Ristic. I want a Fish. I want all of these things. That sounds good. And Mirage Mirror with Basalt wins the game. And in this deck, you can win at instant speed if you have Kinnan, Mirage Mirror, and Basalt Monolith, you make your infinite mana, and then you activate until you hit Thrasios, and then you activate until you hit, Thassa's Oracle, then activate again until you hit Thrasios, and then you can destroy your deck with the Thassa's Oracle and stuff.
You can also generate infinite mana with Tide Spout Tyrant, and any form of rock, basically. Soul Ring will do it too.
Yeah. And what's cool about Tide Spout in this deck is that every mana rock goes mana positive, where like other decks require like a 0 mana spell or 0 mana thing. Every mana rock in this deck does go positive, which is great. So we have like Mox Amber, we have Mox Opal, but we also have cards like Springleaf Drum. The only trouble that you'll have with Springleaf Drum is that you have to tap a creature. So you have to figure out, there's some like wonky stuff you have to do to figure that out. And then from there, you have the infinite mana, do the same thing, activate till you get Thassa, activate again to get Thrasios, draw the rest of your deck. It's pretty strong. It also, I like that it can also get rid of other people's like threats. Like if so through the Hull Breacher, you make your infinite mana, then you bounce the Hull Breacher.
And you can usually remove Rule of Laws, the first thing you do as well with this.
Yes. Bye Rule of Law.
Yeah. But you have some really big and stompy things, like you have a Seedborn Muse and a Nyxbloom Ancient inside this deck. Like the beatdown stomp is definitely here, the Green Dream.
Nyxbloom Ancient is, it's one of my favorite cards. So a card that flies under the radar a lot of the time in this deck is Grim Monolith. And Grim Monolith does not go infinite with Kinnan. It goes mana neutral with Kinnan. But with Nyxbloom Ancient, it goes infinite.
Oh, yeah.
And so a lot of the time what I do is I'll have like a Grim Monolith on the battlefield, and then I'll flip into Nyxbloom Ancient. And because Nyxbloom Ancient is tripling everything, I'll make infinite colorless mana, and then I'll have usually like 4 or 5 activations of Kinnan like left over simply by having 2 extra lands. Like it's so ridiculous. Like it's such a good card.
So you're really just looking to activate Kinnan over and over.
Yeah, with Nyxbloom Ancient for sure. Yeah, this deck is really aimed to activate Kinnan. Like that's really what I'm trying to do as often as I can do it.
That's a really good way of playing against Rule of Law, which is kind of heavily played among stax decks in this current metagame.
Yeah, this breaks a lot of stacks. The only thing that hits is Curse Totem. If Curse Totem hits, then I'm kind of bummed. But like if there's Linvala is not fun. Oh gosh, we have cards in the deck that help with these threats that do similar things to what Kinnan does. Like there's a card called Lurking Predators that's in the deck. Yeah. It's literally Kinnan, but when an opponent casts a spell, so I still get the same effects. And eventually I'll get to Tide Spout, which will get rid of Linvala, or I'll get a Gildedrick, which will help me keep Linvala, I guess.
And I guess your Manglehorn is pretty good at destroying those Cursed Totems when you eventually get that.
Yes. Manglehorn is a house, man. Manglehorn does a lot of heavy lifting. The fact that the artifacts come in tapped really help, especially when I'm playing against like static orbs and like those type of effects. That's like, oh, it's tapped. So, Trinisphere. Oh, hey, it's tapped. No, I'm not really worried about it this turn. Next turn's gonna suck, but this turn's fine.
So how should you be piloting this deck? Like going into a game, what is your mindset? What are you mulliganing for? And what are you trying to like achieve?
Mana.
I like that answer. That is simple, that is straightforward, and it doesn't get complicated. Mana.
Yeah, you're really trying to get mana. This deck has a ton of it. So your goal is not a turn 1 Kinnan. Not a turn 1 Kinnan. Your goal is a turn 1 Dork. And I think a lot of people mistake that because they think, the faster I can get Kinnan out, the better. But that's not at all what you want to do, because your turn 2, your lands are never going to make double triple mana unless you have Nyxbloom Ancient. So your turn 1 should be land, Dork, rock, right? And then turn 2 should be land, cast Kinnan, and now you have access to 4 mana and do whatever you want to do with the 4 mana. But you never need to rush Kinnan out turn 1. I don't think that's right, because if you're rushing Kinnan out, then you're more than likely not going to have any interaction. And the only free interaction that's like reasonable here is Force. Yeah, Force of Will is the only real interaction that can stop from your Kinnan getting taken away. So you don't want to have that option open.
So you're basically mulliganing until
mana.
You have that turn 1 Dork, kinda.
Yes. Yeah, all of these hands are fine. Another thing I think people should realize is that, let's say the Cursed Totem hits, right? That stops you from activating Kinnan, which does hurt. I'm not going to lie and say it doesn't, but you still have a ton of mana. And so realizing that you still have a ton of mana and how important that can be is great. And you literally change gears to, okay, how can I outvalue my opponents if I can't activate Kinnan? And there's a lot of things in the deck that can help you do that.
Yeah, you could just cast these really big blue card drawing creatures.
Yeah, just now you have the mana just to hard cast it. No longer you're gonna activate Kinnan, you're just gonna hard cast the Nezahal. Yeah, that's like real. I think that's important. I don't think a lot of people will see that. I guess a mindset that you have to have when you're thinking about playing Kinnan is there's an established competitive Kinnan list right now, and the established list really relies on Basalt Monolith and Mirage Mirror as like outlets to win. The deck is very lean. It is really, really good, super fast, super consistent, and does something really well. When I was making this deck, I wanted to include some of these aspects because I wanted to utilize the strengths that they bring to the deck, but I also realized that it's difficult when you are in a position of having a lot of mana but nothing to do with it, when your activations don't really mean much other than a Bloom Tender or another Dork, because you can't get any humans off of your activation, so you can't get cards like Trophy Mage or something like that to get your Mirage Mirror into your hand. With that being said, I also realized that like Ad Nauseam and all of these other really hyper fast turn to win decks existed, and so we had our first list that had Void Winnower. You know, when it enters the battlefield, it has an immediate effect, which I wanted an immediate effect.
The thing is that people don't really see that many big stompy creatures running around, so they don't believe that the big stompy threat is a real thing. But when you suddenly have that huge enabler that can really push out these big stompy things, they kind of work. Because the big problem with the stompy things is that they are expensive. But if you can figure out a way to make being able to afford them, they're gonna be there. They're gonna do what they're doing good.
Yeah, and that's a really good way to look at it. I think if people need if people think like, oh, I don't know how this deck really works. If you think about Kinnan as all of your big creature spells cost half of what they normally cost.
Good.
Right?
Good.
That's a much better way to think about it. If Consecrated Sphinx costs 3, you would play a Consecrated Sphinx.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No brainer.
Yeah, that's what this deck does. It makes Consecrated Sphinx cost 3.
Now, if you enjoy his higher voice and want to hear more of his beautiful talk, he actually has a podcast about cEDH. And there's gonna be a link in the description below of the video.
Yeah, there is the late nights, man. Yes, thank you, Mons. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. What do you talk about over there?
We talk about all the things regarding magic. It's a lot of magic theory, honestly.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
The biggest thing is like having conversations regarding like decks and then like deck theory. So similar to what we're doing now, do a lot of tangential thinking, a lot of like off the topic conversations, because at the end of the day, we're all pretty invested in a game
that involves a cardboard.
Right? That involves cardboard. So much time invested in cardboard. Being this invested in this game has really given us the opportunity to explore what, the different 60,000 cards that are currently available to us and develop strategies between what we think are the best. How do you manage that? So like we had play to win on one of the podcasts, and we ended up talking a lot about the background stuff. How do you do the things? So what is running your platform like? What is coming out with merch like? What is coming out with videos like? How much editing do you have to do? Who edits? Like, those are all things that are a part of it. Yes, it's not technically magic, but it is related to how you play magic and how you share your magic with the community. So
it's funny, your podcast seems like it's thinking a little bit outside the box, what is inside this community, while this deck is also trying to think a little bit outside the box here, I would say.
Yeah, it is. It's a good comparison, definitely. Yeah, this deck is, if you were to describe like brewing, this is it. This is like the stuff I like to brew, like really out there things that seem bad. Like Void Winnower seems bad, like until it's on the battlefield, and then it's really not
it's on the
something you want to deal with.
Yes, it's not bad anymore. If you can get this turn 3-4, it's like it has impact. It affects games.
I've had so many situations like this where it's like, oh yeah, turn 2 Kinnan. Okay, activate Kinnan turn 3, and it's like Void Winnower, and people are, what? Are you serious?
What?
what is happening?
So what is this deck's strengths? Like, what is this deck's going for? Like, how is it performing in the current meta with all the odd-nos turbo Grixis running around?
The deck is really good at competing in fast metas because it can play fast. We are running a lot of control in the deck and we're pushing that mid-range plan. I believe mid-range is a really good answer to turbo decks because the answer to a lot of turbo decks is stax, and this deck plays well against stax and can help control the pod to get you to your turn 2. So if I were to play in like a meta that was really Grixis heavy, I would be looking to play control. So I would be turn 1 land, pass, so I would hold up interaction, turn 2 land, play Kinnan, play rock, have enough mana to interact still.
What about this deck's weakness? What should you think about when you're brewing this deck, and what should you think about deciding if this is your deck against your pod?
There are other decks that are better at doing the big creature thing. Decks that are gonna like just outpace you in terms of doing that are Winota. Najeela is really good at that, at getting just a huge amount of creatures really, really quickly. That and board wipes. The decks I'd be most afraid of right now are decks that are on Jessica Thriceborn. Just because Jessica can literally kill Kinnan, not a problem. Same thing with Niv Mizzet is another commander that I fear a bit because Niv Mizzet can just ping your commander away and bye-bye. Commanders that can do that, that's really dangerous. I've seen Jessica a lot more recently, and that's been really challenging. I've noticed that it's pretty safe if you see a Jessica, turn 1 Jessica, I can play Kinnan into that. It's the turn 2 or 3 Jessica that's coming in with 3 damage. The 3 damage hurts, man. The 3 damage hurts, and Kinnan always gets hit. It's like hit the Kinnan, hit the Najeela, and hit the Timna, and it's like, oh gosh.
I think it's gonna be a very hard politic pull to like convince people to not kill your Kinnan.
Yeah, I don't think that'll ever. I've never won that. I don't even think I've tried to fight.
Yeah, why even bother? Like, they're never gonna. Now, if you're interested in taking a look at exactly how I have been putting this mid-range Kinnan stompy creature deck together, there's a link in the description below the video. But also, if people want to ask you questions, is there a place where they can reach you? Is there a place where they can dig deeper into the Kinnan details?
Yeah, I'm a moderator for the Kinnan Discord or on the cEDH Nexus. That's another place you could find me if you have any like specific questions about the Kinnan list. I think there's a lot of directions that Kinnan can go in, and I'm always interested to hear the like different ideas that people have about Kinnan and how they want to build it, because eventually there's going to be a list that's just like the ultimate Kinnan list. I want to be a part of that. So thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and you wanna support me, feel free to share my videos or even checking out my Patreon page. Also, purchasing cards from the TCG Players website using the affiliate link in the description below of the video will also help the channel grow. So a big thank you to all of you.